Cool. Well, thank you, Matduke, for speaking with me today.
My pleasure.
So I wanted to start off this interview with you telling me, as well as our audience out there, who are you and what do you do and what's your background?
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I am. First thing first that anyone listening to this will notice is that I am not native English speaker. I'm French Canadian, so I've spoke French my whole life pretty much, and still mostly speak French in daily life. So my English, even though it's good, because like everything I do in life is like all my hobbies, gaming, TV, everything I do is in English. But if you never get to talk, you kind of get rusty with the pronunciation and stuff. But yeah, so I'm a French Canadian, and I'm 31 years old now. So yeah, I've been in this for a bit, I guess, slightly older than the average EDM DJ or producer. Mostly, I would say I'm a professional computer geek, so pretty much a big gamer and software enthusiast. I've been messing with computers for all my life, basically, and yeah, so I guess that's about it.
Awesome, that's pretty great. How exactly did you get started with music?
For sure, man. That's a kind of a big question, I guess, and I pretty much my whole life has been a long path to music, I guess, and but I guess the easier way to approach this question would be that well, first thing, I am not I have no music background whatsoever, so I've never really played any instruments, and I've never had music theory classes. So in that way, I would tell you that music production has been quite a struggle for me, especially considering the fact that I first like started playing with music software when I was in high school, and actually before YouTube even existed. So being pretty much an introvert and like self-taught kind of guy, I just played around with software, and that's all great. It's fun to be passionate and very self-taught, I would say. But the issue with my situation is that I really had no way to get better fast, like when people would go on YouTube with tutorials and stuff. So yeah, I spent several years just messing around, and I knew nobody around me in my circle that would be able to actually teach me stuff. I had some online friends that I could chat on, like MSN Messenger, who could like review my tracks and tell me how dog shit they are, but they could not really help me like learn the actual, like there's some really important stuff when you want to make music that you need to know. And some people have it really easy because they have what some people, I don't know if that's a real thing, but some people say that you can have like musical ear, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, I was like completely tone deaf. I think that's how you say it. Like I could not tell if what I was making sounded musically musically correct, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it was not correct at all. So I would just like back in high school, I would have these CDs with crack software that my dad's friends would give him CDs with software on it. So you would have like Photoshop, Microsoft Office, all kind of software that would be on these CDs, games also.
Yeah.
And because, well, my parents, let's just say that we did not have much money, like many like many people. So my dad would be like, would get these CDs with a shitload of random software, and I would just like pretty much, as a 13 years old, I would just install everything on my computer and start playing. I would play with these software until I would like get bored with them. So but that's right now, I'm more telling you like how I became a producer, and not how I got into music, but I guess
Yeah.
it's kind of the same question.
On Twitter, you mentioned that Bonkers 11 CD3 was the mix that made you fall in love with hardcore and made you become a DJ. So, do you want
Right.
to elaborate on that? How exactly it
Yeah, well,
inspired you?
that was pretty much when I was 16 and I got my like I was into trance music for almost all of high school, and I was really not serious about making music, but I played around with Fruity Loops and Reason, the early versions of Reason, if you
Yeah.
know that software. And but music was not really something serious, and then for me, and then one of my friends who was actually a raver, like she would go to rave parties and warehouses. And she was like, "Hey, do you want to go to a rave? Like, there's this big rave coming up in like 3 months. Do you want to buy a ticket? Do you want to go?" And I was 16 back then, but raves are they had no age limit. So so yeah, I actually bought a ticket for that, and I was like, "Hey, I really love electronic music, so that should be fun. Let's do this." And then that's when I started looking at the lineups on the event and started downloading a bunch of music and started analyzing what each of the DJ was playing, because on the flyer it would say like, this DJ is gonna play hard trance, this DJ is gonna play freeform, this DJ is gonna play drum and bass. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna start looking, okay, what is happy hardcore? And I would start like downloading stuff and just try listening to a bunch of stuff. And this mix, like Bunkers 11 by Scott Brown, that mix like blew my mind completely. Like it was pretty much like, it's as if I was 16 years old. I had been playing video games my whole life, so basically I love video game music. I love Metroid and like all the soundtracks of Donkey Kong Country, those games. Like the soundtracks of these games just like they really hit me home, I guess I would say. And when I heard that Bonkers mix, I was like, holy shit, I did not know music could like be this intense and powerful and like reach me in a deep way, I guess. I never had this feeling with rock music or hip hop or like for some reason regular instruments just don't strike me like very in a very significant way, I would say. So yeah, this mix really blew my mind and really got this mix and going to a rave. And it was like after my first rave, it was 100%. I was convinced that I wanted to become a DJ, but I was not yet interested in becoming a producer like seriously. But I was really sure that I wanted to become a DJ. So yeah, the first event really, for some reason, it's a game changer, I guess. That's where you really know if you're gonna be serious about this.
Yeah. All right, that's really interesting, and I guess you've just never stopped since.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, at some point, after when I was 16 and I bought my turntables and started buying music, like I got myself a part-time job, and I would sometimes even skip school to work more. In grade 11, I was just like really into making money, like even if it was like a minimum pay, I would just work. I bought 2 turntables, and that's a bit. I guess it's unfortunate, but also it's kind of cool in a way. But I really bought myself turntables just before they became completely irrelevant, because of the digital age. So I bought myself like a couple thousands of dollars of records, and it was really expensive because all the hardcore records that I would buy, I would have to buy them from the UK.
Oh, yeah.
So that was insane, man. Every song that I would buy would cost me about $15 for a song.
Oh no.
One song.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
It was pretty insane. But it became clear to me that after maybe a year or two, I really wanted to make my own tracks, because I was like a big fan. Like, believe it or not, back when I was 16, that's 15 years ago now, Gammer, you know DJ Gammer, that's on
Yeah.
Monstercat now.
Yeah.
He was already making amazing tracks and already releasing these on vinyl. And like I was only just, and I think he's like maybe 3 years older than me. I think he's like
burst on the
34,
scene in
35.
2003 or something, right?
Maybe even earlier than that, but yeah, around then. Yeah, man, he had a track on Bunkers 11. He already had tracks on major compilations, and he was like, I was 16, so he was like, I think he started releasing tracks when he was 18 years old, and now he's probably 34, 35. So, but Gammer was really a big influence, and for me, even 15 years ago. And I really knew that I wanted to make tracks as well. And I really wanted to get into I wanted to become a real UK hardcore producer and maybe one day be recognized by the UK hardcore scene. And that actually never happened. Instead, Monstercat found... I met Monstercat instead, and I actually achieved something that was really unheard of, like in the electronic music scene back then. So that was a pretty interesting turn, I guess.
Well, since you mentioned Monstercat, what was your experience? Because you released 4 tracks on them, and then you disappeared for quite a bit, and then you finally came back after like a pretty big hiatus. So, how?
Yeah, man. The timing was really, really weird, because Rock the House and Shivers were already, like, when Monstercat began in 2011, I already had a bunch of tracks made, and I think Shivers was already completed, and Rock the House was already completed before Monstercat even started. And after the first week, like, I was friend with Efixa. I don't know how to say that in English. Well, I was friend on Skype. Like, we met on World of Warcraft, and after the first week of Monstercat, he sent me a message on Skype, and he was like, "Hey, I'm starting this thing, and I really want you to be part of it." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So I send they check all my tracks, basically. They check all of my tracks, and Rock the House actually was the one that was the most interesting to them. But I sent them probably like 7, 8 tracks easily. But the funny thing about that is that Rock the House, like back then, I had been producing music for a few years, but I was still not ready to show my work to the outside world. You know what I mean? Because right now, in today's age, every single producer, well, maybe not every single one of them, but it doesn't take a long time for a producer to put his music online, like on SoundCloud or whatever. And people, like, they work on their craft maybe 6 months, 1 year, and then they're like, all right, I'm gonna put a track on SoundCloud, I'm gonna start putting my stuff up. And because there's so many good tutorials out there, it's pretty easy to be like pretty decent pretty early. But like back then, for me, I was really not comfortable. I was really insecure about my music, you know? So I would not put anything out. I would keep everything for myself, and the only people who could hear it was like my real life friends. And all of my real life friends, they all had like their favorite track of mine. Like some people would be like, "Oh, Purple Sky, your best track." Purple Sky is a really old track I've made, but some people think it's pretty cool because I think I made it like 10 years ago or maybe 11 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. So it's really, really old. So some people would be like, "Oh, Hardcore Pressure is your best track," and I would be like, "Oh, thanks." But Rock the House, for some reason, everyone was like, it's not that great, because all of those people, all my real life friends, were fellow ravers, and they were fellow DJs, and they were fellow clients, well, customers of the hardcore business. So they were all like buying Gammer records and Scott Brown records, and they were all big hardcore enthusiasts. And my music was actually, well, that's my own point of view, so I might be wrong about that, but my point of view is that my music was kind of like entry-level freeform, which is not a bad thing in any way. but when you, as you probably, I don't know if you feel that way, but in EDM and electronic music in general, there's some entry level tracks that are like I would say Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites by Skrillex. That's like, it's one of my favorite dubstep tracks ever, and it's really, really like, it's a major track. So I'm not gonna discredit this track, but it's very entry level. So someone who's never heard of dubstep or who has a bad impression of dubstep, he's gonna hear that track and he's gonna be like, holy shit, I think I may actually enjoy dubstep. Like, this is a good entry level track, you know?
Yeah.
So all my friends would be like, oh, Rock the House, it's kind of garbage, I don't like it, or it's boring, or whatever. And then I send it to Monstercat, and they're like, oh, well, we think it's your best track. And we want it on the label, like, after the first initial week, it was track number 8, pretty much, that released on Monstercat. Yeah. And and then the reaction was pretty great. I mean, people really loved it. And for a lot of people, it was like their introduction to hardcore music, the first hardcore track they ever heard. So it was yeah, man, it's like a lot of people like that scene, because when you're living in the hardcore scene, you're kind of in a bubble, and it's not a realistic bubble, and it does not represent the world. So I would send my tracks to my friends, and they would be like, oh, yeah, I mean, you're no gamer. And I would be like, yeah, I know, I'm not trying to be better than him. I'm just like trying to get into production and get better, and I'm just trying to have fun, you know? Yeah. And in a funny way, like, so that really changed my perspective on how life works in general. Like, you're gonna work toward one goal, and life is gonna pretty much send you in a completely different direction. So if you work hard and you have like, you're positive about your work and you're passionate and you do what you love, yeah, real life friends like and online trolls and all that stuff, you cannot let them like influence you. You just need to do your thing and believe in yourself, I guess. But your question was, what happened? Why did I disappear from Monstercat? So I'm gonna get back to that. Yeah, it was 2011, and Monstercat was just starting, and I think it was August, the month, and I was actually on the wait list to get into a really, really hard university program, because today I'm a pharmacist. So I was I was waiting to get into pharmacy school, and that was like really hard to get in. So because the way it works here in Quebec, you have 3 years college, and college is not like university. It's like 3 years of science, physics, chemistry, mathematics, like general science, and you do this for 3 years, and this is where they kind of benchmark the students. So this is where you show that you like got what it takes to be a doctor, let's say, or an engineer. So in these 3 years, like, you do general science, and you kind of learn a bunch of shit. And I worked really hard during those years to get good grades, and then I applied to pharmacy, and I was put on the wait list, which is pretty standard. And I got in August at the same time as I released Rock the House and Monstercat. So that was like really crazy timing. And wow. Actually, yeah, Efixa, he pretty much offered me a job in Toronto. He was like, hey, come work for Monstercat, we need more men. And I was like, dude, sorry, I just moved to Quebec City because I had to move to go to university. Like, sorry, man, I just moved and I've been waiting to get into this program for so long. It's like, this is how I'm gonna like make a living, and this is a sure thing versus music, which is never a sure thing, you know. So I was like, I need to go with I need to be a serious guy and just do university. I've been working too hard for this. So I decided, and I was going to I studied with my girlfriend the whole way, so we did the pharmacy school together. So like, obviously I was not gonna like ditch everything and move to Toronto, but and even then I could have, but that does not answer your question still, because I could have made more music during those years still. But what happened there is that the first year of university I would still make music, but the second year I really started. Like I was saying, the program was very, very hard. And what happened to me, unfortunately, is like my creativity pretty much died in school. Like it was so hard, and I was supposed to study all the time. That was what was expected of me. It was that I would study all the time. And so when you're not studying, you're pretty much procrastinating, right? That's the word. And when you procrastinate, you tend, I don't know if everyone's like that. I think maybe not. But when you procrastinate, you kind of don't want to do, you kind of just want to do useless shit. Like, so yeah, if you, like I was saying, if you're procrastinating, you're not like gonna do like great work, like great music achievements. Maybe some people will, but my procrastination was like crack a beer, play video games. Just like I was pretty much, and I actually did my university very well, and I finished on time, and I never failed a class. And today I'm a pharmacist. But seriously, man, making music at some point, and if you ask my girlfriend that, she would tell you I was really not happy. I was pretty depressed because I actually wanted to make music. I wanted to make good music, and I wanted to work, and I wanted to please like the people who were into my stuff. I knew I had a good following, and it was very sad for me, like disappointing. I was pretty much always disappointed in myself. I would be like, I want to make music, but I can't. It was really weird, man. I don't wish that on anyone, but it sucks to be like a very ambitious person, and I would consider myself quite an ambitious person, and to be like, I was like stunned in time, and it was very disappointing, like to not be able to do anything. But every now and then I would manage to get some production time because I still loved it. But I would sit down and make some music, and that's why you heard some. But like these tracks that I made during university, like I was not able to do like, I don't know, I did not have enough motivation to polish them to the point where I would release them on Monstercat. Like I would be like, oh, I made this, I'm gonna put it on SoundCloud, free download.
Yeah.
Like I did not have the drive to do more than that, you know?
Yeah. A bit of a step backwards, but on two of your tracks on Monstercat, you have an artist named Metzen credited, and I'm curious who that is because I tried to do some research and I couldn't find anything on them.
Yeah, man, his name is Mark, actually. You say two tracks, but it's only Shivers, right?
And Disco Dancer.
Oh, is he credited somewhere? Because he did not participate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was put on Disco Dancer.
Well, his name is probably not on the Monstercat video, but if he's credited, it's a mistake. It's probably on a wiki or something, and someone made that mistake. But he's definitely not involved in Disco Dancer.
Okay.
But
so I just checked on my phone. Yeah, on the track itself, on like iTunes and stuff, he's credited on there.
For real?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's really weird because he only participated on Shivers, and
okay.
Mark pretty much is my childhood friend. Like we've been friends since grade 6, grade 7, and as soon like we're both video game like addicts, and when I became a DJ at 16 years old, he jumped on the train pretty much right after. And but while I was more like happy hardcore freeform, he was really all about the freeform.
Yeah.
But he never really got into serious music production. So what happened is that I was well, you know how it gets. Like I was, as a music producer, I wanted to sometimes you like being alone, but sometimes you want to involve people because this is something you love and you want it to be a little social. So I would be like, hey man, come to my place and let's work on some beats. And I would I would do that with my real life friends a lot, and it never really gave anything. Like it never really gave birth to any significant track. But Shivers actually was one of those nights where we had a couple drinks and we made like a big. We started the track together, and then the next day I knew it was gonna be a pretty cool track, so I finished it on my own, and I added the vocals, and I did that because initially it had no vocal, but we added that. Well, I added that on my own. So yeah, he was involved with Shivers, but like the reason you don't really hear much about him is that pretty much he doesn't DJ anymore, and he doesn't produce on his own. Like.
Okay.
So yeah, that's Mark. Still a good friend of mine, and we still hang out and have drinks.
Nice. Right. That pretty much brings us up to the present. So I figure let's talk trends. What are some of your favorite trends in music right now?
Oh man, I would say that it's favorite trends. I don't know. What are the trends right now?
I've been seeing an increase of a subgenre of dubstep named rhythm. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I heard of that.
Yeah.
I still don't understand what it is exactly. It seems to just be like a different, more simple variant of dubstep, and it seems to be mostly a hit in the parties, right? Like in the actual clubs and events, like people seem to really love dancing on that beat, right?
Yeah, the best way I've heard it described is that it's dubstep that focuses more on the highs rather than the mids or the lows.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be into making some rhythm, and I think I've actually tried. Like, a friend of mine was like, hey man, you need to make some rhythm, it's big right now. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try. And I whooped up some stuff, but it was not great. Did not make any finished tracks. Yeah, I don't think I have a big future in rhythm. But yeah, something that I really like, if you ask me, of trends, is the fact that there's a lot of genre blending. Could you say that? Like tracks going from one genre to another, and sometimes like tackling 4 or 5 different genres in the same tracks. I've been trying to do it in a couple of my tracks lately.
I saw that in your last track, Escape, where you blended drum and bass and happy hardcore. That was magic.
Yeah, it's pretty much all over the place, right?
I loved it a lot. So
cool, man. Thanks. This is something that actually it's what really got me into that is a Japanese producer called Camellia. He's mostly big in the video game Osu. Like he's got a big following in that game. His tracks are all frequently featured there. I don't think he actually plays this game, and I don't either. But I know that like his tracks are super popular in that game. And but he's a Japanese dude, and he's really all over the place. Like I've always, like as you've seen from my Monstercat tracks, I've always enjoyed like making multiple different. Like I don't want to make only one genre, you know.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be just a pure drum and bass producer, even though it does seem like maybe it would be a better marketing thing. But like people like Stonebank or that dude Camellia, I'm pretty much like that. I don't want to commit to one genre. So and I find it even cooler when when you have tracks that over 3 minutes you're gonna hear some future bass, you're gonna hear some dubstep, some hardcore, speedcore. Like the crazier the better for me. So yeah, I would say that it's a trend that I enjoy a lot. That's going across a lot of genres. Something also that I like is that when I got into music production, you would always think of the DJs when you would make a track. Like you would make a track and it would be 6 minutes, and you would have a kick drum intro of 1 minute with no melody, so it would be mixable with other tracks. And what I like right now that is happening is that there is a big shift towards producing for Spotify. And I personally, I do, well, as you know, I have a podcast and I make mixes now quite frequently. But so, yeah, I do enjoy the fact that a track will have a DJ intro and outro. I still think that's important. But I think it's really, really good to have the listener in mind. So I like short tracks with short intros, short outros, a lot of action, and if the person likes the track, he can just listen to it again. He doesn't have to have like a 7-minute version where the same track is repeated twice pretty much, because sometimes those tracks are just like copy and paste, you know, the first drop is the same as the second drop, and I'm like, yeah, let's just like make a 3-minute track with like non-stop action and less intro, less outro, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like
that's another big thing, the Spotify direction, like the Spotify kind of way to write tracks.
Yeah, like I've seen that a lot with like hardstyle artists making like the radio edit and then the extended.
That's true, man.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
I think that in hardstyle, the one thing that annoys me a little is that's the short version without the intro. Sometimes I think it's like it's too lazy. They just removed the kicks and you're like, and it jumps to the break and the vocal starts, and I'm like, yeah, I like a little bit of intro, you know, it's just something to put you in situation. And in hardstyle, sometimes they just like they cut the intro, and I'm like, yeah, that's not better, you know. But yeah, they do that a lot. They actually bundle the release with 2 versions every time, which is kind of funny in a way. I don't know, it's weird.
Well, since you mentioned like that annoys you, what are some of your least favorite trends currently going on?
Oh, that's a good one, I guess. I don't know, because like when something does, like, I don't believe, I rarely, well, sometimes I will say that something sucks, but I don't really believe it, because I know that everything that sucks is enjoyed by someone somewhere. So if there's something that's boring to me, I just walk away and I don't think of it. I just ignore it completely, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to say what would be. I guess, well, something that I use, I don't know if you do too, but what I use on Spotify is called the release radar. I don't know if you know what that is.
I've not heard of it, no.
Okay, so like every Friday, Spotify will make you a playlist with new releases. So it has to be like new tracks. Of course, if I upload a track that I made 5 years ago and I say that it's new to Spotify, they're gonna put it in your release radar as if it was new. So that's kind of like a cheap trick. But the way the release radar works is that it makes a playlist for you with your favorite artists. And it's like 1 track per EP or album per artist, and it's refreshed every Friday. So with that, I've been using that to keep up with new music a lot. And I guess maybe it's because it's an algorithm that like knows what you like, so it's gonna give you more of what you like. But when I listen to that, I feel like EDM is not moving forward, and I don't know if it's just an impression or if you would agree with that, but like there's nothing, like, I mean, there's rhythm, there's future bass that not really new anymore, but like I don't know if you agree, but EDM is not really, there's not much new right now, right? Nothing mind-blowing.
I don't know. I think I've seen a resurgence in electro, but I think that happens every few years.
That's true. Yeah, I would say that, like, there's no real trend that I dislike, but it it's a bit disappointing when like you hear a really really overdone type of 128 big room beat, like when you watch those ultra festival movies on YouTube, and
Yeah.
like you're like, okay, this track sounds like every other track. It's just like, so yeah, that I guess. But again, I'm myself a culprit of making entry level music sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's good to make entry level music because there's always gonna be more newcomers than like old schoolers and jaded, like, and you don't really, that's one thing that I found out, is that you don't really want the approbation of the old school jaded dude. You actually want to get a bunch of new passionate enthusiast people, like the newcomers. That's the people you wanna show your music to. So and unfortunately I am now, I guess I can I cannot really fight it. I'm myself becoming a little of a old school jaded dude. So it's, I guess it's just like how it works. And all I'm glad is that I still love electronic music and dubstep and all that stuff, because like a lot of my friends really stepped away and they're not into it anymore. So I'm just glad to still be passionate, and I don't want to lose that passion.
Well, so uh, building off of that, who do you think is really like killing it in the electronic music scene right now? Because I mean, we've seen so many, like you said, so many new artists and so many newcomers coming in. I'm sure that there's definitely been like, new takes on genres and everything. Who do you think is doing the best right now at that?
I would say that Barely Alive is really, really cool. That's one of my favorite for sure. Like, I guess I have a few favorites across all the different genres. Like Barely Alive and Virtual Riot are still my go-to dubstep guys. Like when I want to listen to some good dubstep.
Yeah.
I just like, because they are very melodic. Like even when they try to be more serious and more like, they cannot completely go away from the melodic stuff, I guess. Yeah. So there's these guys. Well, with the podcast, I've been discovering a lot of great music, because I spend hours just like browsing the internet looking for new music. So I guess I have Stonebank is huge. He's amazing. I don't know, man. There's so many. There's Camellia, that Japanese producer I was telling you about. In hardstyle, I really like Dr. Rude. He's super good. Yeah, but I'm not. I would say that other than the podcast, I'm not that involved or up to date with all the new stuff. Like it's pretty hard to pay attention to everything all at once.
Oh yeah, there's so much music going on.
Yeah, you need to focus like on something. It's really, it's now there is no barrier to anymore. Like anyone can make music, and it's very easy to get it out there. And if it's good, people are gonna pick it up. Yeah, in my mixes, there's this dude, Anticore, I think is his, I don't know how you would say that, but his name is pretty funny. And he makes, he flips tracks mostly, and his flips are really amazing. Like I played them all in my mixes. So he's really doing good on the flips. Yeah, nice. There's a lot of come and go, like there's this guy who, Audio Freak in hardstyle, that he's been around for super long, and he's had like 3 name changes.
Oh wow!
Still amazing. Yeah, it's been a pretty long journey, man, and it's really a tough game because you need to stay updated, and you need to learn the new synths and the new techniques, and you need to keep your music fresh, and that's really hard because it's a very unforgiving industry. Like. the money is not really good if you don't like play shows and if you don't like have very big major releases.
Yeah.
So yeah, you most people, they do it out of passion first, and if they're very good and lucky, they're gonna make good money. But if you don't want to do like all the shady stuff like ghost producers, and if you don't want to pay for gigs, because like some people actually pay for DJ gigs. I don't know if you know about that, but like you can.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily gonna be a headliner slot in a nice party, but if you really want to DJ and you have the money, you can buy yourself a slot. So that's pretty
Wow.
crazy stuff, Yeah.
That's
It's a tough business. Yeah, and it's a tough business, and there's not that much money in it, and everyone wants their share. So my own way to see it is like, I'm gonna do what I love, and I'm gonna focus on doing what I'm passionate about, and be very passionate about that, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So moving on to the future of your music and you in general, what do you think? What are some of your future plans for music?
Oh man, my main thing right now is that I want to be prolific. That's what I've always wanted to be in music. Like, I kind of really don't care how many people listen to it or if people like it or not. What I really want is to make, and I don't just want to make like, when I say I want to be prolific, I don't mean that I want to sacrifice quality, obviously, but I want to make more. Because like, this is the age of content, like on YouTube, everywhere, Spotify, iTunes. It's the age of content. People want more, and there are multiple ways to give more, but like I said, I'm an introvert. I'm a solo dude, like, and I like to do my own thing, and I like to focus on my own projects, and I like to be focused, and I don't know. I just get like I told you earlier, I was pretty much self-taught with the music production, and I'm a really like a real introvert. So when I'm in my own bubble, that's where I'm happiest. So yeah, I enjoy being independent. That's probably one of the things I love the most since I came back, is doing everything myself, my artwork and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, while I was in my break, I would say, I guess we could call it that, even if it was not a voluntary break. While I was on break, I was like, oh, I wish I had people helping me with X. Like, I wish I had someone to make my artwork, and I wish I had someone to take care of my website, and I wish I had someone to whatever,
Yeah.
I felt that way, and today I'm like, well, it never happened, and the only way for me to go was to do it all by myself. Like, my renders, like I use Adobe After Effects to make my YouTube videos,
Okay.
and I felt that it was time consuming, and it's not the fun part, as a music producer, I don't like rendering videos,
Yeah.
but it's still the way to go. It's to like and I get so much gratification doing the stuff myself that once it's done, I don't want to look back.
Yeah.
It really feels, for someone like me, it really feels good to be independent. So yeah, it's pretty much to keep going. Like, I want to release 2 tracks a month. That would be my, like, for the past 2 months I've been chilling a bit because it's the summer, and I've had a pretty good year, pretty productive year so far.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I gave myself a bit of a break. I'm still keeping up with the podcast every 2 weeks, but yeah, I'm taking a little break, but I really want to keep that pace. 2 tracks per month, 2 albums a year, and dude, that's pretty much it. Like, I have some side projects like that I'm thinking about. Like, I could open a Patreon, I could live stream on Twitch, I could do YouTube videos like of music production, but those things are not like, they're bonuses. Like the
Yeah.
Twitch thing would allow me to connect with people more, and I think that would be really, really good. That's something that I should probably tackle soon. Twitch, Patreon, yeah, and just make more music mostly. That's pretty much it's simple as that. I'm thinking that I could something cool that I would like to make is an exclusive hour of kind of unreleased flips of my own tracks and something that would not be available to download.
Yeah.
So if I could make like a very exclusive 1 hour live set, then I could bring this out if I play a gig or something. So actually, like, but you know, like, as a producer, you think of all these cool things you could do that you think would be cool for people to enjoy. But
Yeah.
then you get in reality, and people are just like, I hope you're gonna play Rock the House. And I'm like, oh, I made a bunch of flips with all my new shit, and it's gonna be crazy. And I made a hardcore remix of my dubstep track, and it's gonna drop hard. And they're like, oh, but he didn't play Disco Dancers. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, man. I don't know. Disco Dancer is it's a bit old for me. Like, so that would be awkward. But I mean, but no, I'm just to be honest, I'm just happy doing my own thing and creating my own thing. Kind of like Dead Mouse is. He doesn't give a shit, you know.
Yeah.
He's not really. So yeah, if I make an hour set that I keep for live performance, that would be cool. But I haven't started that project yet. But it's something that came to my mind.
Well, that was actually part of one of my next questions. Do you have any plans to like go on tour or perform live in different areas, either in North America or in Europe or Asia?
Man, I would love to, but unfortunately, if you look at my Spotify stats, which only I can see, but if you look at them, you're gonna see that like because of the way Monstercat works and the online music, my fans are scattered, man, all across the world. Like I have fans. Like the biggest country where I have fans is the U.S., but I have somewhat like number 2 or 3 is like Sweden, Germany, Norway,
Oh wow.
Mexico. Yeah, pretty much almost every country is on that list, and I have several fans in all of these countries. But the thing is that it's online music, so these fans are like the way I think, the way I see it. If I show up in a city to play a set, I'm gonna be lucky if there's like 5 or 10 people there, because like my fan base is super scattered across the world. So maybe in the VR world I'm gonna be a sick DJ, but right now, if I don't make connections with the managers and promoters, and if I don't go on tour, like even a big dude like Gammer, he has to go on tour with Kaizo, you know? Like
Yeah.
he can also do his own tours, of course, but like if he wants to milk a serious amount of gigs, he just like goes on tour with Kaizo, and that makes sense. It's really, really cutthroat out there, and there's little money. So if you don't have a good manager, which I don't, and if you're not in like the club scene, it's very rough. And I'm very much more in the online scene than in the real club scene. So I would tell you that right now getting gigs is almost impossible for me, because I don't have any of the connections. But and I don't want to pay for gigs either.
Yeah.
You gotta find you gotta find your priorities. And traveling, actually, like backpacking across the world, that's something that I really love. But I think the lifestyle of a traveling DJ is much different. So I don't know. Maybe it will happen if I get. I don't know if I get lucky or if I get the opportunity. But like I say, I'm not actively going after that.
Yeah. Well, that's still pretty cool, though. Yeah, you seem to be doing really well for yourself, and that's always the most important thing.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, in the end, if you're like you hear like it's a bit like cheesy, but you hear those stories of people that have really made it, but for some reason they're sad, they're depressed, and if there's one thing I don't want to be, it's depressed. I was pretty depressed during school, and the fact that I managed to return to making tracks and releasing tracks and putting my, because after 5 years, I guess you could probably like you can probably understand that it was kind of scary for me to come back out and get back out there, because like you're used to this past success of Monstercat that was like pretty much luck for me. Monstercat was luck and was not it was, I would not say that it was not deserved, but I got lucky, and I got way more attention than some people that are actually much better producers than I am, but I got like a lot of very good attention, and it was very scary to come back, and I was scared not to deliver the goods, and I was scared that well, of course, like every time people are like, oh, are you gonna come back to Monstercat, and I'm like, well, I may, but I may not also. Like right now my main focus is to make tracks. If they're good enough for Monstercat, I will send them, and if they want it, they'll take them, and if they have like, if they request minor changes, I will do these changes. If they say like, you should tune that in the track or change that part, if it's realistic, I'll do it. But if like they're not into a track, I'm not gonna like make 35 versions. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna self-release and be like, well, this is the track the way I made it initially, and this is the way I like it, and like I don't know. It has. I just want to keep it. I want to keep it fun, you know, for myself. Because if it's not fun for myself, like I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got really lucky. Because honestly, if it was not for my friendship with FXA, I would probably have no audience at all, you know. Or maybe
Yeah.
I would. I guess we'll never know. That's
Yeah.
the crazy part. But it's been very refreshing though to start over. Like, because now that it's been like I've released I think 14 new tracks in the past year, and seriously, man, like I feel like it's almost like a rebirth, and the pressure is now very low on myself. Like I feel no pressure. It's like the Monstercat hype and the hype of like, is he gonna return and all that stuff. It feels like this is the I felt more pressure. It's all psychological. It's all in my head. But I was like very scared and insecure about returning. And now I've managed to get back in, and I put tracks out, and I've put 14 now, and I kind of don't give a fuck anymore. I'm just like, keep it coming, dude. Like, I just want to do more, and I want to keep at it, and who knows what's gonna happen. And I'm just really stoked because I'm actually doing pretty good on Spotify and the other streaming services. Like I have 22,000 followers on Spotify, which is really like I cannot really ask. I'm just happy that some people are actually enjoying the music. You know, that's.
Yeah.
I first make it for myself, but it's a really big bonus that some people are enjoying it. You know.
Yeah.
That's really precious, actually. I've got a work in progress for you. I'll send
nice.
it to you. You can put it in. It's but it's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea though. It's pretty hard. It's
That's
called
okay.
Fallout, and like the game Fallout,
Yeah.
and it's just it's pretty cheesy too. It's like a kind of song with like some dude talking about like a nuclear fallout, and then big kick drums, and yeah.
In the case of nuclear or radiological fallout, people living around potential targets such as military bases and chemical plants may be advised to evacuate.
not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. Citizens are advised to take the following steps. Stay alert to news media events or local emergency alert notifications. This is not a test. This is not a test.
In the case of nuclear or radiological fallout, people living around potential targets such as military bases and chemical plants may be advised to evacuate.
But yeah, if there is there anything else that you want to say to everybody that's going to be listening?
For sure, man. DJ Matduke on SoundCloud, Matduke on Twitter, DJ Matduke on Instagram, Bandcamp at djmatduke.com. People can buy the tracks. The podcast is on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Mixcloud, YouTube. I have 2 YouTube channels. One is Matduke and the other is Matduke Mixes. So yeah, people can find all that Matduke on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm really grateful because I'm really happy that there are still people like following the new releases, and some people actually buy the tracks on Bandcamp, which is extremely appreciated in a world where everything is free. And I actually give all my music for free in full wave quality download. Yeah, it's crazy, man, the amount of pressure. Like when something like Monstercat happens to you, like you just go crazy, like, because, well, not crazy, I mean, I cannot picture, like, you know, those child actors who like get in big movies and then their life is pretty much ruined because they can never top that. And like some of them actually manage to grow from that and become functional human beings again. But like as a producer, something like Monstercat, that can really crush you, man. It's too big. Then you're like, how do I top that? But the love for music production in my case was big enough that I still came back to it, you know, and I'm really, really happy I did. Like I'm having so much fun like right now. But back when I was in university, man, that feeling that I would have to make something better than Bloodlip, and like I had to make something crazier, bigger, better. Oh man, that was not good for me. That was not a good feeling at all. That's not how it works. You're not supposed to beat the previous thing. It's music. It's subjective. You just need to keep going and like make it fun for yourself. I'll keep delivering, and thank you very much for the interview, man. It's really cool, and I'm really glad you gave me my first interview experience. I wish you good luck.
Thank you so much for doing this interview, and I hope that you have a great day.
My pleasure. You too, man. It was fun. See ya.
See ya.